AoC Meeting number 24. Before we get started, I want to talk to you guys about something. In the last meeting video, I know a lot of you were upset with how the devs handled some of the suggestions. You guys didn't like it when they said no to some things, or when they kept saying they'll look into it. Keep in mind that the dev team's current focus is on bug fixing, polish, and improving on what they already have, and not so much adding new features. So when we ask them for new things, it's normally going to be a no because that's not where they can put their resources right now. There's a lot of ideas that come from the community that they'd love to implement, but they aren't feasible at the moment. As for when they say they'll look into something, no one dev can be positive on how possible something is or not. They normally have to go and literally look into things with the rest of the team to be positive. If they said yes right away without being positive on everything, only to figure out they can't do it, then that would make players feel like they're going back on their word. In my experience though, when they say they'll look into something, normally something comes out of it. Sometimes it's in the next update, sometimes it's several updates later, but it comes. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the topics. First up is Glenn ZA, and he wanted to talk about having an option to save replays or clips of a game. The dev said that recording games like that would end up bogging down the servers. If thousands and thousands of players are all saving their gameplays, the servers simply wouldn't be able to handle it, and getting servers that could would be very expensive. Next up is Yago's topic. He wanted there to be a healing received stat in the post-game lobby screen, as well as more information in the profile. An overview of different statistics basically. The dev said they are a fan of more post-game stats like that, but they don't know if they'll be able to get it in. It's lower on the priority list because it would require a lot of work. They want it but can't promise it. The same thing with the profile stats. They really wish they could go back and put that stuff in the game from the start, because it would have been a lot easier to do back when the game was first being developed. Also, to be clear, the devs we have now are not the devs who originally coded the game. Those coders are all long gone. Next is Gabinet's topic, and it was also about profile stats. And we talked about that already, but he also brought up improving the level up rewards for your account level, cause right now it's basically only 2,500 gold every level up no matter how high you go. This is something they are interested in looking into and seeing how they can improve it. Next up is Libra's topic about PTS balance feedback for Furia and Strix. A lot of players feel like Furia's Wrath nerf was heavy-handed. This is something I agreed with as well. I even brought it up to the devs as well when the PTS went live. The devs did think there was room to mess with how long it takes for her decay to start, and they did up it from 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds before the update went live on Wednesday. Libra also brought up the Light of Dawn card nerf, said that players feel like it's useless now after the nerf. She advised them to lessen the nerf or revert the nerf until they can rework the card. They wanted to make the card feel less required. A lot of Furia players were running it because it does add a lot of value to her already powerful heal. They are looking to keep an eye on the card, but the value it's at right now might be where they want it to stay. As for Strix, people obviously hate him. Mainly that's because of how fast he kills you. So Libra brought up reducing his fire rate in order to give players more time to react to him. This has been something that has been requested before. You guys probably remember Hugo requesting it, and it's something I've definitely agreed on in the past. The devs said they get a lot of feedback on the character, and they have heard the fire rate idea several times before. They understand it's not a good feeling to get hit with a large amount of damage from far away, but that is part of the power fantasy that snipers revolve around. They're not going to say they're going to look at the fire rate. Personally, I really hope they one day do. I don't think the complaints about the character will stop otherwise. Next up is Couch's topic. It's balanced for Bomb King, Maeve, Leon, Andro, and Tiberius. Now unfortunately Discord wasn't letting him connect during the meeting, so he couldn't really talk about these characters. The devs wanted to follow up with him on them later on. In the meeting though, the devs said that from what they've seen, characters like Bomb King and Andro are characters who are only really powerful when the player is really skilled with them. And that's pretty correct. They also said the Royal Subjects nerf from the Sands of Myth update didn't really go through, and that it would be live in the next update. I played Bomb King when Darkness and Dragons hit, and I did notice the nerf when I wasn't as accurate, so it's nice to see that one go through now. Next is Z1 Unknown's topic, balance feedback about Kinessa, Buck, Khan, and Pip. Kinessa's True Grit and Buck's Bully cards both can proc on barriers and deployables, and Z1 felt like that was pretty busted. The devs have already worked out a fix for this. Z1 also felt like bulk up is overpowered after the COT nerfs, since it wasn't nerfed along with them. He recommended removing the bonus 300 health from the talent. The devs do agree that bulk up could use a nerf, so expect a bulk up nerf in the future. Z1 also said that Vortex Grip brings too much value, and recommended reducing the stun to 1 second and keeping the damage on the grip, or keep it at 2 seconds and remove the damage from the grip. The devs aren't going to promise that they're going to do this, but they do agree that getting hard CC stunned like that is not a good feeling. But they also said that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad for the game. They are still going to look at nerfing the talent though. Z1 also brought up how they should remove combat medic dealing self-damage. It's possible to kill yourself while healing an ally if they're close enough. And this exact thing happened to me the other day. It is not fun. The devs agreed and said that this is an easy thing to fix. Next up was Bitey's topic about Makoa balance and Fragile sniper adjustments. He's still getting a lot of reports about Makoa being hard to get value out of. He thinks this can be due to his really low damage efficiency. He recommended making Makoa's fall off better so he can output more consistent damage during the game. The devs are pretty happy that Makoa is no longer a must-pick, must-ban character, since he was exactly that for 3 years. They don't really want to make him meta again because he was meta for so long, but that also doesn't mean they don't want him to be good. They said they have to be really careful about buffing him though, and that's because he's a very easy character to break and make meta again. As for Fragile, Bitey recommended raising the walls that snipers constantly jump over in order to get safe snipes. This does have limited counterplay to it, and with the Fragile rework, it's easier to do than it was before. The devs do want to look at this idea and test it out. Then there's my topic. I talked about adding XP to custom games, another use for gold, and some balance ideas with talents. So I asked if custom games could give XP since there are a decent amount of people who play a lot of custom games through viewer games or scrims. The main problem is that it could be exploitable. I offered some ideas to make it less exploitable, at least to the level of exploitability that bot games currently have. I recommended making it so 10 real people need to be in the game in order for XP to be rewarded. That way 2 people can't AFK while running against the wall to easily get a ton of XP after a few hours. The devs said that ultimately players would still find some way to exploit it, and they don't want people to leave the real queues to go farm XP in customs. And hey, that's pretty fair reasoning. As for another use for gold, a friend of mine told me about an idea where they could make it so you could buy boosters with gold, and even add more boosters like character XP boosters, account XP boosters, etc. They could all be direct purchase, or they could all be put in a box together. The devs did like the idea, and it's something they're interested in implementing. They do have to discuss it internally to figure out how much work it would require. They said it didn't sound like it would take a lot of work, but they want to be positive before giving a hard answer. As for talent balance, I brought up Subservience. It's honestly not too far off from being a good talent. What I recommended was increasing the radius a bit, letting it heal through walls like every other AoE heal in the game, and giving it a visual radius indicator like Grover has for both Raum and his allies to see. They do want to buff this talent, and they will be looking into the ideas I gave them. Next is Alacrity, or Alacrity? Potato? In the old days, Leon's precision talent refilled your ammo when using Grace. A lot of Leon players loved that effect. It felt really smooth to play with. However, on its own it wasn't worth running over the other talents, so it was reworked. Alacrity's effect on its own is also not worth running though, so I recommended putting the 2 effects together into one talent. This would both give Leon players a talent effect they enjoyed back, while also making Alacrity more worthwhile. The devs don't know if they want to do that to Alacrity, but they do think they can rework one of her lesser used cards to give ammo back when using Grace. I recommended reworking her Bloodline card because Bloodline is a pretty bad card. Then I brought up Smolder. So Smolder did need a nerf without a doubt, but now it's pretty lackluster. I saw an idea that I thought was really good, and it was reworking a card to make it so Billow could heal you up a bit at base. That way you could stack this with Smolder to get a worthwhile amount of healing, while also requiring more investment than Smolder needed pre-nerf. The devs do think there is potential to mess with Smolder. They can look at the cards and see what's possible, but they aren't super invested in messing with Xin soon, considering his current power. I also recently found out that Fernando Ald affects Amani Dragon and Aluna, and I did want to see if that was intended or not. The devs didn't know that was a thing, and they found it really funny and kinda awesome, but they are going to look into it because they're not supposed to be affected by Nando's ultimate. And that's it, that's all the topics. Like always, if you have any feedback, then feel free to leave it in the comments below. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I want to thank you all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.